Citrine. We've received additional instruction for Mathlia. First, there have been attacks of various natures in the north, including Rhysic raids and dark magic usage. Then there are the heavy civilian losses suffered in Fagori. With the spawn assaulted and kidnapped, and the Holy Land threatened, the High Priest equates these attacks as a challenge against angelism itself. As mentioned during the service, my forces are to make a pilgrimage to Sovane and ensure that the land is protected. Additionally, increased violence is widespread across the realm. The High King worries our spawn are no longer safe to reside in the countryside or minor cities. He has issued orders for all spawn to migrate to their capital cities, where there are sufficient resources to protect them. Where are they supposed to go? Aldehide, one of the spawn residing within Sithika, asked. We are to construct an area on the castle grounds for the spawn to reside within that will be protected with magic and guarded with soldiers. That includes you and Ketone. I don't mind moving into the castle, Ketone jested. I relished the chance to entertain the young prince. Aldehide narrowed his eyes at his fellow spawn. At the mention of construction, Citrine's low architectural mage and low defensive mage exchanged an unenthusiastic glance, but they kept their tongues behind their teeth. How long will we be confined? Aldehide asked. Until further instruction outlines new guidance. That sounds expensive, the low financier murmured in turn. It certainly will be, Citrine agreed. Fortunately, the High King will be covering the material and shipping costs. However, we will need to provide the labor. Panite only has the Imperial Army at his disposal. Couldn't bother to use them as a labor force. Ketone grumbled. Use formalities when you speak about a superior in front of a king, D4, the Major General of Citrine's regional army, said. Only his obstinacy surpassed his desire for decorum. You might want to consider your fate before correcting a spawn so boldly, Aldehide retorted. Could you think any higher of yourself? Ketone asked. Please, Citrine said to command the attention of the room again. Now, Ketone, you brought up the High King's army. While our regional army occupies the north, a squadron of the Imperial Army will police our streets. The same policy will apply to every kingdom. That leaves us vulnerable, Ketone said. Vulnerable to what? The elementals guard our waters, and a strong ally lies to the east, D4 said. A handful of kingdoms span between us and the Rhysic threat. As part of this realm, it is our responsibility to provide our soldiers when needed. The northern kingdoms benefit far more for being a part of this realm than we do. They bear the largest risk. Without their sacrifice, we would not be as safe as we are, the Major General said. It is right for us to aid them. I fear we would be at a greater risk of robbery among the trading routes, Lord Goethe, a wealthy lord in charge of a key trading port, said. For once I agree with you, Lord Carnelian, Lord Goethe's main trading competitor, said. The Imperial soldiers will have a lower tolerance than the regional ones do, D4 assured. Why don't they go to fight the Rhysic then? Legally, the High King can't wage war against another species on his own. He requires the regional army's participation for it to be a lawful venture. Therefore, he will direct the Imperial soldiers where he can within the realm. With our regional soldiers, he wants us to send along any volunteers who wish to take up the sword, Citrine said. And any spare priests, too. What could the priests be for? The soldiers' morale? Ketone asked. After we complete the pilgrimage to the Holy Land and reclaim our territory from the Rhysic, the High King intends to spread the message of our religion throughout the wildlands. Before you all ask, the justification is that if the Rhysic share our beliefs, they will respect the positions of the spawn and will not invade our lands, but rather safeguard them. Regardless of whether the intended plan succeeds or fails, the spawn will be safely out of reach. I have yet to grasp why he could possibly require an army to spread the word of Scripture. If the army will be fighting them, what will the priests preach to? Corpses? Lord Goethe asked in disbelief. We do not know what is to come of the days ahead. The threat of the Rhysic may be legitimate, or it may be overestimated, Citrine said plainly. This strategy may work. The High King has the best viziers and strategists in the land. He consults with those who have studied historic battles with the beasts. If anyone should know how to deal with this threat, it is he. Finally, there was silence, and Citrine gathered his thoughts to explain the pending plans. For now, when spawn arrive in Sithika seeking shelter, we will situate them in a room here, as Ketone mentioned. I may request that a portion of the slaves from each manor assist in the construction project, but not yet. Our regional troops will regroup with the armies of the kingdoms they march through toward the kingdom of Coserai. They will then continue north to Sovane. At the border between our realm and the vampiric lands, there may be bloodshed with the rogue Rhysagli. Once we defeat any opposition, the rest of the army will parade through the Rhysic lands until the high priest has deemed it sufficient that they conclude their travels. This is madness, Master Annis said, swiping his hand across his face in disbelief. We've been at peace with the Rhysagli for ages. Why would they do this now? D4 ignored the low healing mage's question. How many soldiers does the High King expect us to send? Practically all of them. I'm allowed my personal guard of defensive mages and a few soldiers to staff the limestone castle's defenses, but that is all, Citrine answered. Am I expected to go? D4 asked. It is only right for you to go, given their sacrifice and all, Ketone mocked. D4 glared at the spawn. At times like these, the hardest part of Citrine's position was brokering peace between his own advisors. Taking in a deep breath, Citrine continued. D4, you will lead the party to the kingdom of Ikasu. From there, Ikasu's major general will lead until relieved by his superior. The major general sat back in his wooden chair with a disdainful look on his face. Though he remained silent, his expression communicated his opinion plainly. During the march, the transportation mage, Master Azimuth, will expedite the trip of any spawn found traveling to the nearest capital. Will the populace be deprived of news updates for the entirety of the crusade? No letters either? How will we know if we're needed in our home regions? How will we transport back there? Lord Goethe's bushy brows arched in outrage. Lord Carnelian nodded in silent agreement. King Citrine closed his eyes briefly to acknowledge the Lord's plight. We will be missing several amenities, but we'll discuss that in a moment. Identic, you have been charged to encourage donations to help reclaim the Holy Land during your regular services. I know you've started, and I appreciate the initiative effort. I live to serve. Faith has offered to travel with the crusade party, the low priest said. Who else is expected to be in attendance? Master Cirrus asked. Penite was clear that weather mages are not to attend. Citrine would not meet his major general's stare. D4 nearly flipped his chair over as he stood. How does he expect us to traverse the landscape without mages? The weather in Vetron alone switches to deadly freezing outside the protective barrier. Devor has ash for air and lava for rivers, and Sovane is so dry that any living creature crossing the Wan Desert instantly shrivels. This is a death march. Surely the High King would not sentence the soldiers loyal to him to death, Lord Goethe said. His words were deliberate as he formed them. Those climate assessments are exaggerated. Let's focus on one subject at a time, Citrine interrupted. To ensure the best chances of survival for our troops, given the circumstances, what will we need if we cannot send a weather mage? Hunters and trappers, Cirrus stated pragmatically, both soldier and civilian. Blacksmiths, D4 barked. If we have to fight against the cold, we'd better have sharp axes to cut campfire timber. Limitless gem? The low financier shook her head. Drivers and carts. Master Azimuth can't transport everyone's supplies himself. The low transportation mage smirked at the pending quandary of his past apprentice. Weather enchanted tents. They're stored somewhere in the vaults. Cirrus jotted a reminder in a little leather notebook. Someone who can cook worth a damn, Ketone said. Despite the high tensions in the room, a few chuckles escaped. Who else? Citrine glanced around the table, desperate for the answers on how to provide for his soldiers as much as possible. Even if we can't have a weather mage, surely we'll have a healing mage. Sickness will run rampant outside of Master Annis's barrier of health. We might survive without one mage class. We can't without both, D4 said. The low healing mage shifted uncomfortably. Then you will have a healing mage to accompany you, Citrine decided. Master Annis, you will remain here due to your superiority in rank, and Master Watercress will go. The low healing mage relaxed, but said nothing. Will his apprentice go as well? Cirrus asked. Basil, has he not been made master yet? Citrine asked Annis. I wouldn't know. I've never met the wizard. I barely escape the castle's walls, and when I do, I don't visit my past apprentice, let alone my grand apprentice. Among his additional concerns, Citrine didn't have time to question Annis's peculiar answer. Anticipate Watercress to attend without Basil. Then with him, and everyone else we've mentioned, the crusade may make do. But D4, ensure you return Master Watercress to Sithica whole.